Yeah. Hey. All right. Hey. Yeah, I mean.
So we about to take off.
Hey. Please do remain calm. About to run against it and with a little bit of soul, no times.
Welcome to the Please Remain Calm podcast. I'm Ben Gonzalez.
And I am Daniel Gonzalez.
And we are here with our guest. Is this our only two-time guest?
So far, yeah.
Tony Klein in the Two-Timer Club.
Two-timer. And what is it? This is our 54th episode, right?
Yes.
54th episode. So
54.
we just passed a year. Worth of
52
episode.
would be a year.
Yeah, 52, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
God,
We just didn't
always make me a liar for one or two things.
He's always like a leap year, bro.
Checking me for an inch here, bro. The point is, we got a year's worth of work on this podcast. Congratulations, Ben.
Yeah.
Pat on the back.
On
Give
a
me one
year
on my shoulder right
and
here.
2
Can I
weeks.
get a pat? Thank you. A year and 2 weeks, and Tony was one of our first guests. He came on with his wife.
We
to
argued
talk
about that, too,
Yeah, we were arguing about that
before the show.
And I'm pretty sure we recorded it.
We might have, dude.
We did
like 3 shows in a row off the bat to record. No, we recorded like 4 or 5 shows before we released one, didn't we?
Yeah, right at the beginning. But I'm pretty sure you guys were the first guests that we had on the show recorded, and then we might have put them out of order.
We're the first ones that matter.
But you guys were definitely the first ones that came to a podcast that you didn't know anything about. Obviously, you're friends with Ben, But
The first guy I thought of, too.
Well, and then came to a podcast you didn't really know what it was about or anything, and shared this crazy story with your wife. But it sparked off, really. I mean, it was the first, crazy story that we recorded on this crazy story podcast. So
Pretty much,
it's great to have you back.
I'm glad to be back.
To talk about a different incident that we're going to get to. Before we get into that, before we start anything else, listen, everything we say here, the opinions are our own. They do not reflect the opinions of the Los Angeles City Fire Department or the Los Angeles County Department of Health Services.
That being said, there's a few obvious new changes we got to get to at the beginning of the show here. Number one, we are in new digs. We
Look at
have
this place.
moved estudios.
We're taking a step.
All right.
Upward and onward.
Happy to be here, partnering with Mastermind and getting some good stuff done in this new place. And it's nice to
Definitely.
be here. Yeah.
And there's a lot going on behind the scenes with some stuff that we have going on too that we're going to get out to you guys when the time is right. But everything seems to be moving forward properly and moving forward with these guys in this space. That's a growing business and growing space too is awesome. We look forward to collaborating with them.
Mm-hmm. Everyone who has stuck with us, it's starting to pay off for all you PRC heads. All the I don't know what we should call the people who listen to us. I always
We got to work on that one.
Name like
PRC head does sound
going to be
cool.
like interns,
Remainers.
rookies, boots,
Hey, remainers, the remainders. Yeah,
the calmers,
the calm remainders.
palmers.
Calm heads out here.
But we have met some really good people through the podcast. Like we always get messages, to share them with you guys on the social media about, just people that are happy to hear the stories and hear the outcomes and learn something new about the profession.
Yes.
And we met some really great people. And I want to mention one person, Isela, right?
Because that's the thing now. The other new thing is that we now actually have a sponsor for the show. The show is now brought to you by somebody besides us.
And the cool thing about that is that I've always thought, even when we first started this thing, God, it's gonna feel like selling out if I'm selling something that I don't really like. If we make a deal with somebody, but I haven't used it or I haven't used your product or whatever.
Yeah, I personally didn't have that struggle. I was ready to sell.
He was
out.
ready to sell out. Yeah,
butt plugs. You want to sponsor us? He's the best butt plugs I've ever used.
But my wife and I, if you guys follow me on social media, you've been following me for a while, I'm like environmentally conscious and stuff like that. Kind of stuff concerns me a lot. And so my wife and I have been talking about getting solar at the house. Our neighbors got it. And so we've been talking about it. And then Isela winds up, being a fan of the show and follows and everything, and let it be known that she worked for a solar company. Well,
I don't know if she wanted us to pull back the curtain like that. No. This commercial. But yeah.
No. But
this is a hot commercial though so far. This is all technically the commercial, and it's a good backstory.
Yeah, thank you. If you would just let me tell it, it would become a commercial, and people wouldn't even know that it's a commercial, man. But a part of the fire family, you know what I mean? But I called her up, and she works for Power Solar, and I started the process of going through it. And let me tell you guys, man, I was had a lot of trepidation about it to begin with, like going solar, because you're changing your whole power, the entire way you use power in your house and stuff like that. But her process and the team that they had there, I mean, from the initial consultation that we had with them to planning out the entire solar panel, because they do they look at the satellite picture of your house. Yeah. They plan out exactly how many panels and all that stuff. They do it all. It was really fast, really seamless. gonna save a ton of money on my power bill. She goes through all your power bills, and they figure out how many panels you need to match, the power usage that you have, all that stuff. So if you guys are looking for solar, please give Isela a call. Let me give you her email real quick. Let me find it real quick.
Get your electric bill ready, folks.
www.solarenergyqueen.com. Her name is Isela Bonata, and her phone number is 310-435-0231. That's Power Solar. And we want to thank them very much for sponsoring the podcast.
Absolutely. Shout out Isela. And hook her up. Go solar, folks. Get off the grid.
So today we are talking about something that we get a lot on the rescue, to be honest with you, especially in Venice. We're near the freeways. We have the 90, the 405. Yep. And with traffic and everything, people are riding a lot more motorcycles, scooters, right? Even bikes.
And people like to ride their motorcycles to Venice.
Yes.
Venice is a motorcycle-y destination.
Very motorcycle-y destination. And God, man, you're like essentially just flying through the air.
Oh yeah, dude.
On a motorcycle, right?
That was one of my first jokes I ever did, dude, was like how it's like not fair because like you're just driving in a car, I'm here in a freaking metal cage, and then you can just like right next to me in the freaking chair on wheels, like nothing, you know what I mean? And like any other car, I could just bump you, and it's like, hey, I could be mad, hey asshole, look what you did, we'll learn how to drive. And it's like if I bump a motorcycle, it's like, oh fuck,
yeah, you just killed somebody.
Pretty rad.
Yeah, man, you're just hanging onto a rocket.
You're on like a jet ski in a concrete sea of giant vehicles, right? You ever take your motorcycle down Wilshire? Like there's just giant freight trucks and stuff. It's the scariest thing on the planet.
But not only that, you're like it's like you're like a Blue Angel or something like that. You know what I mean? You're trying to maneuver between you're watching what all these other people are doing, and you're trying to maneuver and shit like that. And if you get distracted for a fleeting second, you know what I mean? Just a moment, you look down to see how fast you're going, or your phone buzzes in your pocket. You're dead. Yeah, exactly, dude. I always tell this story, and listen, I used to ride, I used to own a bike.
Yeah.
And I rode for a couple of years. I bought a brand new Harley night train, right?
Nice.
Had fucking skulls on the side. I had ape hangers on it. Yeah. It was like the cool, as far as like having cool shit and looking cool, the coolest I've ever been in my whole life, dude. I had a freaking dope ass Harley jacket. I had the dope ass, little skull cap that just like wouldn't save me for anything.
Non-DOT approved.
Non-DOT, but I had a DOT sticker. You know what I mean? Yeah. Dude. I mean, it was like the height of coolness for me, right? And I never felt cooler. And I rode that fucking thing everywhere, dude. And the thing about bikes.
Weren't you almost like invited to be a Mongol?
Yes. Yes. So
this guy looks the part.
It was serious. Yeah. It was serious. There was a biker year for this guy.
I was a biker for a little while, right? And then my brother-in-law, or soon-to-be brother-in-law, was a member of the Mongols. And, so he'd invite me to go on rides and stuff like that. But I fucking loved it, man. Yeah. I literally like feel like, even still right now, when I look, like think back on my life and think of like the cool, like crazy shit that I've done, skydiving, fucking whatever. Yeah. Buying that bike, it was the best thing I ever did, man. It was the most fucking fun. It was the most like free, the closest I came to like, and this sounds weird considering that I just said I skydived before, but it's like the closest I came to feeling like I'm flying. You know what I mean?
It's super addicting. I mean, honestly, like we'll get to accidents later, but like if you even take a spill, there's a lot of reasons why guys still ride after they fall, right? Like they'll still. Yes. And I feel, at least for me, so I got in an accident, right? I got a couple motorcycle stories to tell before we get into Tony's story. Come around, gather around, kids. Danny's story time. So when I was a fireman, like early on, maybe like, I don't know, 12 years ago, something like that. I had like 5-6 years on the job. And I guess this is a cautionary tale. I'll tell my cautionary tale first. I was assigned to fire station 57, I believe, in South Central, but I was working a sod day at old fire station 64. Okay. 64 is like right in the heart of South Central, Los Angeles. It's like right across the street from, what is that? Southwest Division, or
what is that?
Southeast.
Southeast.
That's right. Yeah.
Right across the street from Southeast Division. It's this, now it's this big brand new, state of the art fire station. Back then it was this little tiny rinky-dink fire station, but just like one of the famous stations in the LAFD. So I was working there, old 64s, and I was working on the 800, which is an EMT ambulance. Okay, I was a paramedic at the time, but I got hired in a fireman spot, and I got stuck on the 800, basic EMT stuff. That district, that area of the city is super busy, okay? Especially for the 800 and the rescues. They're running all day long, and that day was no exception. We're running calls all day, okay? And I'll never forget it because... and we've talked in the past about how multiple calls in an area can kind of like deplete the resources in an area, right? Okay, so we came back to the station at 64s and parked in the front, and this traffic accident went down, okay, at Crenshaw and Florence in the intersection, okay? I live literally like 4 blocks from there. Like that's the major, if I had to give a major intersection, that would be one of the major intersections that I would give to where my house is, right? So obviously that piques my interest. And listening to the call go down as it goes out, and you're like, oh, and then they come up with an update. Hey, we got reports of an auto fire on scene. Roger that. And then you hear truck 66 because they were dispatched for the extrication. They're coming down the street, and you hear truck 66 come on. Yeah, Metro or. I think there was still OCD back at the time. Yeah, OCD from truck 66. Do we have a structure fire going? We got a pretty large loom up in that area. And you hear the radio, Metro come back. No, we reports of a fully involved minivan that was involved in the accident. Roger that. And then you hear guys, and you hear them come on scene. Roger, we have people trapped in the car that's on fire. We have another vehicle with So all this is going down on the radio, right? And we're listening. And I'm thinking to myself, oh shit, we're going to get attached to this, okay? Because 64s is the next, maybe two districts over, and we're in 800. And when you have incidents like that, usually you need 800s, EMTs. Yeah. So I tell my partner, hey man, we're going to get attached to this incident right here. And sure enough, bink, a run pops up, and I look over, and I go to start the rig, and I look over, but it's not that incident. It's a fall by ourselves to a fall at this intersection, Figueroa and Imperial Highway. And so I'm like, fuck man. And that happens too sometimes. Sometimes there's the craziest fire going down, biggest incident, and boom, you get a stub toe or something like that. And you're just like, everyone's over here doing this. You hear it all going down on the radio. And this guy's like, oh, I stubbed my toe a week ago and I need to whoop. And you're like, fuck, son of a, that's your job. Yeah. I take the stub toes. I do that. So I see this incident come on, and I'm disappointed, kind of, you know what I mean? Because at that time, too, I'm full of piss and vinegar, and I want to go to all the I want to go to all the big incidents and stuff like that. And this is right down the street from my house, and there's people injured, and you have this desire.
You thought for sure you were going.
Yeah, exactly. You have this desire to get in there and do some work, right? And so I was like, oh shit, I'm going to this fall in this parking lot, you know what I mean, by ourselves,
right down the street. Yeah.
So we cruise over there. We get there, and it's like an MTA bus, like a parking lot for like, how the bus will like pull, like there's a bus stop on the freeway.
Yeah, it's under the freeway.
Yeah. And then you can like come down, you park your car there or whatever, and you can go up and catch the bus on the side of the freeway or whatever. It was like one of those, empty. The parking lot was empty, right? And I'm like, all right, fucking nobody over here. Off in the distance in the middle of this parking lot, and I'm in the street, right? There's like a pile of clothes. So I get on, hey, Metro's Rescue 864. Yeah, we're at the intersection of Figueroa and Imperial, and we find nothing. Can you check the call back? So Roger, we'll get back to you. And so we're sitting there waiting, and then a pickup truck pulls up. And he goes, hey, man, that guy almost hit me. What guy? That guy over there. What guy? That guy, that's a guy over there in the middle of the, what? Wow. What do you mean he almost hit you? I don't know, man. I was driving my truck down the street, and all of a sudden this guy just comes flying and tumbles, and winds up in the middle of the parking lot. Dude. And I'm like, holy shit. So we cruise over there into the parking lot. Sure enough, man, there is this mangled person in full biker gear. No way. Leather gear, just a completely mangled ball of, compound fractures, bones, arms, everything mangled. There was nothing we could do, right? So I call for, I call for PD. I let them know that we have, anytime we have somebody that meets reference 814, which is somebody that we can determine dead in the field. Yeah. If they have brain matter showing, or if they have heart and lung tissue showing, heart.
Yeah, so you guys don't touch that. You just have to call them.
There's a very specific list of things that if they have that, we can just call them right there. Yeah. And that's
obviously at that point, there's no resuscitation. So
that's kind of the idea. If somebody's incinerated, if somebody has brain matter showing and they have no signs of life, if their heart's hanging out, their lungs hanging out, something like that, you doing that isn't going to do any good. And there's probably going to be an investigation.
Exactly.
So you got to let all that go. So we get on, and let them know what we have. And then we hear a honk and look up on the top, and there's an engine company up there. There's engine 64. So we look where they're on a motorcycle accident on the overpass. So what had happened was, and then as we start looking that up, here come 5 or 6 different motorcycles, all right, all dressed in the same kind of gear that this guy had on. And they're like, hey man, our buddy got in an accident up there. What had happened was he was on the transition from the eastbound 105 onto the southbound 110. Mm-hmm. They were all in a group. He was in the back of the group. He was taking that turn on the transition too fast, lost control, went into a wobble, hit the wall, and went flying over the top. Jesus. About a 70-foot drop from the top tier of those overpasses, the 105, 110 overpasses.
Literally the worst place you could have a motorcycle crash.
And for reference, isn't that where they filmed Speed? The jump thing in Speed, was that there, or was that over the 405?
I don't know. It was the 105, but I think it was close to the airport.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But to give you an idea, it's one of those multiple overpasses, but it was about a 70-foot drop. Yeah. And the worst part of that thing, man, and dude, this goes back to, we've talked about things like sticking with you and stuff. This is one of those things that stuck with me because I rode a bike, right? Yeah. We covered that, but it's one of those things.
You were riding at that time, right?
I was riding at that time too. Yeah. So to me, it was like, I couldn't stop thinking of how many times I've been riding my bike and like looked down to see what time it was and looked up and traffic had slowed. Like, shit, or had my headphones in with my iPod and tried to change the fucking button, and I, hit the button and just, oh shit, hit a little wobble or something like that. And how this guy probably hit that wall and flew over and had 70 feet to drop, realizing I'm fucking falling.
Oh yeah. Dude,
that's a pretty conscious thing. If he didn't hit the wall, you're wide awake.
Dude. I would venture to say probably still fully able, guy, like zero injuries at that point.
Cause you're on a rocket. You're just flying through the air on a rocket, man.
Yeah.
Yes. So that stuck with me because 70 feet, and then he hit the street that I was on, that I drove to get there, and boop, 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 tumbled into the middle of the parking lot there.
And here's the thing too, though. This guy was in a biker crew or whatever. He's literally died doing what he loved. Yeah. It's the worst death.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That you can think of, or one of the worst deaths.
Well, and
top 5 deaths.
And not only doing something you love, but if you ride all the time, you're really fucking good at it too.
Yeah.
But that's also part of the problem when you're riding a bike, because when you first start riding, man, you're like fucking death grip. You're super careful. You're using your blinker. You know what I mean? You're going the speed limit. You're stopping behind everybody.
Well, it's funny because sometimes new riders can be dangerous riders because sometimes they'll ride in the center of the lane, right? And that's actually, you're supposed to ride in one of the 2 wheel paths, so you're not on all the oil. So you'll see a new rider. You can also tell a new rider parks their bike, parallel with the curb. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be perpendicular. So there's a lot of new rider things that can also be dangerous too. It's not just you're gonna be more hyper aware, but that also sometimes you're a little too tension, and then that can also lead to problems.
Well, then that's the other thing too, is then now you start getting used to it. You're riding more, you start getting used to it, and you realize that well, shit, if I want to go that way, I don't really even have to turn this. I could just squeeze my left butt cheek and the whole bike goes like that, and it just goes. And if the faster I go, the better and quicker I turn. And actually, this thing doesn't even want to fall down. Like I could just let go and ride with no hands, and it wants to stay up as long as I'm going fast. And you start realizing that, and it's good because you feel comfortable on the bike, which is obviously good. But then you get really comfortable on it, and you feel almost, at least I did, man, when I was riding, you feel almost invincible. I have total fucking control over this
Absolutely.
machinery.
There's got to be some kind of correlation with motorcycle riding and like people that smoke cigarettes. Because I used to smoke cigarettes too, and you're always in disbelief, like, it causes cancer, but not for me.
Yeah,
you know, same thing.
exactly.
Motorcycles cause death, but not for me. I'm above that statistic, and then you get yourself in a hairy situation, like, oh my god, this is fucking dangerous as shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly, dude. And that's kind of exactly what happened with me, right? I had the bike. I had been riding for like a year and a half, something like that, and you know, I was in that mode. I was doing fucking 95, 100 miles an hour on the freeway. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm cutting, you know, splitting
and you had
lanes.
A big bike too. That doesn't blow around in the wind, you know?
Yes. But I loved it every second. I mean, I'm telling you, man, you get to a point where you feel like the faster I go, the easier this is. You know what I mean? And then I crashed. And it wasn't even a big crash, but it was enough to change everything about the way I looked at riding a bike.
Absolutely.
I was coming home from a swap meet, the Long Beach motorcycle swap meet that they have down there like once a month. Okay. And me and Bernie had gone down there, met some people, you know, friends down there, you know, hung out at the swap meet and stuff like that.
Question for you.
Yeah.
How did Bernie feel about you riding the entire time?
She rode with me. Yeah.
She was always for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I don't remember her being against it really at all.
Literally a ride or die.
Yeah. I didn't get into it, dude. I'm against it.
But but yeah, no, we would ride together. I mean, we rode there together. Yeah. She was actually on the back of the bike when we crashed. So, but you know, I had a couple beers while I was there. Yeah. Again, you know, nobody's perfect. And it's literally the last time I ever fucking, you know, I had a drink and operated a vehicle after that. Scared the shit out of me. It was one of the many things that
Scared
did.
The beer out of you, dude.
But yeah, riding home after that, you know, and I always told myself too, like, because it wasn't the first time I'd had a couple beers. I mean, you do that, right? You ride your bike on a ride with the guys. You go to a spot or to a biker bar. You throw some beers back.
For you. When you first started riding, you're like, I'm not going to drink and ride. Were you one of those guys?
No, I drank excessively at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, I made no such pledge.
But I was aware of it. You know what I mean? I was aware, but I felt like, again, like I felt like the bike was a part of me when I rode it at this point. You know what I mean? Definitely comfortable enough to ride home after having a couple beers at the swap meet and stuff like that. Right. So riding, we're in a residential. I mean, we're down the street from the house and we were riding behind this girl or this woman and she pulled all the way to the right. I thought she was parking. Mm-hmm. And she was going kind of slow, and so I was kind of hanging out behind her. It was a residential street, so it wasn't room for me to like zoom around her or anything like that. And so when she pulls all the way to the right, I go, oh, sweet, finally. And I gunned it to go. Well, she was making a wide left into her driveway.
Oh, no.
So now I gunned it. She starts making the turn, and, you know, they teach you how to downshift and how to pump those brakes, because once you lock them up, especially on a bike, you know, you're just going to slide. And all that went out the fucking window. Yeah. Right? Because I'd never really been in a situation where I had to really effectively use those techniques.
Right.
And sure enough, man, locked them up and that bike slid as she's making the turn. And we kind of turned like this and we hit sideways. Boom! Into the side of this woman's car. Okay. Knocked the bike down, big old dent in her car and stuff like that. I wind up getting out of it with some bruising on my leg and stuff like that. But Bernie, my wife, fractured a little tiny part where a tendon connected to her knee, the bone where it connects to, fractured off. Then we find out she's pregnant a couple days after that. Okay, so imagine that, dude. We're laying there and she, you know, we're alive. So I'm like, okay, but fuck, I just crashed a motorcycle with my wife on the back. And then 2 days later, you know, that's my wife and my child now that I just crashed a motorcycle. What the fuck am I doing, right?
Yeah.
Cut to, I don't know, a couple months later or something like that, my brother-in-law, who we talked about was in the Mongols, crashes his bike on a residential street, is thrown into an oncoming car and dies.
No.
So I have these three things come up. I've got a new child that I know is coming into the world, right? I already just crashed, so I have that going through my mind. And then my brother-in-law crashes.
Plus the guy that flew off the freeway.
Plus the guy, that's always in the back of my head.
Beginning,
but I always told myself like, okay, man, just don't be an idiot.
Yeah.
Pay attention to what you're doing.
Wrong. Yeah.
Pay attention to what you're doing. Yeah. Be safe. Don't be a fucking idiot. Yeah. Okay. But what did I turn into? I turned into a fucking idiot who wasn't safe. You know what I mean? You know, and it completely changed the way I ride motorcycles now. Cause I'll still ride every once in a while. I'll borrow my buddy's bike or I'll go rent one or something like that. And me and Bernie will go on a ride somewhere. But dude, when they tell you you have to ride like everybody is trying to fucking kill you, you literally have to do that.
Absolutely.
You have to ride like that. If you're going to the liquor store down the street, you got to be hyper aware of everybody and what they're doing.
Mugging old ladies like, don't fucking kill me.
Yeah, hang up your phone. Yeah.
Trying to ride here.
Yeah, that's I don't get how it's still like so dope. You know what I mean? Like the idea of it, cool, of flying, yes.
Because there's always
there's
new
such a
people
cost
getting
to
into it, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I think if you did it once,
No,
like on an
I
open
know,
without the
dude.
dangers of it, you would get it and you would understand.
So that's what I mean though. But I dig like going to ride quads or fucking dirt bikes or some shit.
I
That's
fucking hate
fun,
dirt
bro.
bikes.
Yeah.
I hate riding dirt bikes. I hate riding quads. Hate it with all my. I hate it, dude.
You know, it's funny because when you ride quads and dirt bikes, you're like, you know how fucking cool this thing would be on the street?
On the street, yeah,
exactly.
Bro. Yeah. But you can't crash into any other fucking cars or them. You can crash into rocks and
You'd
stuff.
be
But at least
surprised,
it's
dude.
just
There's some
you.
there's like, my in-laws have a bunch of quads. We go out in the desert and shit, and that's sketchy as fuck, dude. You're going up these big fucking like.
Thank you.
Yeah, big dunes that thing could roll back on you. It's sketchy as fuck,
Dude, and everybody does. A fire department, like everybody's got dirt. Or we have Mike James on here talking about it, right?
Yeah, like 2 dirt bike episodes.
It's a big thing in the fire service, right? People, guys go dirt bike. They go to Glamis out in the desert, and ride out there and stuff like that. Personally, dude, it's just like this is, you know what I mean? I'm like bouncing around and jerky, and I'm just
Covered in
like
dust.
and then I know people that have died dirt bike riding too.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
That's why you have
dangers there,
those
too.
giant ass flags on the back of those things too. You know what I mean? Like you should have some kind of marking so you know.
I'm
Like,
not saying it's great. Like I don't like go, but I'm just saying like I get it. Like if you gotta have the experience or whatever. You know?
Well, you have to have that. You have to have something like that in your life, man. That gets your heart rate up and it gets you excited a little bit, man. Like, in my opinion,
my gripe is street racing.
What's that?
My gripe is street racing, which you also did for a while.
Yeah, I did do that too. I did have a black light in the interior light of my car that ran continuously on my. The hell did I have? A Nissan Altima, my Lord.
No,
Nissan
it was a
Altima.
Maxima.
Maxima, my Nissan Maxima.
Yeah.
I used to go fucking play, techno music and go street racing. Yep.
drifting.
I'm telling you guys, hey, I'm a fully realized man. I've done it all. All the stupid shit
He's
you can
every
think
woman.
of, I've done it and I've come out the other side. Tony, enough about me. Let's talk about you.
Is there ever enough about you though, Danny?
Fucking take us back
Well, dude,
to the day of this accident. Because we just had an anniversary, right?
Yeah, man, 10 years ago. I think this past weekend was when I got my motorcycle accident. And I had ridden for 10 years. So I wasn't like as new as you. I wasn't as green as you. But I also grew up riding in Wisconsin where you don't have a helmet law, right? So imagine this. Like you, at 18 years old, I bought my first bike. But I've been riding for years before that. So you already had that arrogance that like you're above the stats and the standards.
Yeah.
And you're like, and you think that like, and funny, the only thing you need to wear to ride in Wisconsin is a pair of sunglasses. Keep the wind out of your eyes. Other than that,
Bugs.
you're golden.
I was gonna say too, though, there's no helmet law, but isn't Wisconsin also like the DUI, like drunk drivers capital
dude,
of the
my
world?
dad has like a dozen of those things. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like there's like it's all
wallpaper.
brewery, like the industry, main industry, like after like
But-
milk is like fucking beer.
Remember this, though. Harley Davidson is from Milwaukee, right?
That's
So
right,
like
yeah.
all those dudes be up in arms about a helmet law. Like
Yeah, yeah.
Chicago has one, and everyone's like, fucking pussies, you're riding with the helmets on and stuff. And then you ride with one, and I did the same thing as you. I had the non-DOT approved helmet with the sticker because I was like super hell-bent about not wearing a helmet because it does feel foreign. I mean, like wearing these headphones now, it kind of like changes your hearing, right? So when you're on a bike, you only have so many senses, and you feel a little bit more in tune with the street not having that helmet on. And then there's the blind spot too. So at first I wore like the non-DOT. Then I bought like a 3/4 face helmet. I'm like, well, those are also kind of sketchy because if you do crash, you can rip your jaw off because that strap's there and stuff. So I'm like, all right, fuck it, I'll get a full face.
And they say if and when you crash, your chin and your hands are usually what gets fucked up the most.
And that's exactly what happened.
Here we go.
So here's the
dude.
thing. So I was, throw you back. So 10 years ago, I was on my way to this job I had. It was a fucking breakfast day job at a restaurant. And it was like 8 a.m. I like, you know when you stub your toe in the morning and how much that hurts? Well, getting hit by a fucking car is like a million times worse than that. In the morning. And it was like, and I took this like motorcycle safety course. Like I would have never ridden as safe as I did that day, which is the scariest thing because all the times when you're fucking around, right? And you're like, it was kind of hairy. And then the time that I did a 2-second stop at the stop sign, I'm not aggressively, accelerating when I leave. And this chick, same thing as you, just pulls out of her garage, like doesn't do a left, right look, just kind of pulls right out into my like lane of traffic. And I'm like, oh fuck, she's not gonna stop. So I tried like signaling to her, like and there's nothing, and then she freaks out and just lets her car coast almost into the parked car on the side street. So at the time I was living over by Runyon Canyon, real narrow streets over there. And I had no like chance to go around. I'm like, I'm going to hit her. So I basically T-boned her quarter panel, just like you. Yeah. I didn't have anyone on the back. And I was also going downhill, so I basically did an endo, right?
Man.
Now, the only thing that saved me, because I had bars like you had the ape hangers, I had a little bit lower, like bobber style, but before this accident, I changed into those Clubman style cafe racer bars.
Down low.
Yeah.
Let's describe these. You're going way too
motorcycle
terms here, bro.
Yeah, not to get too. So
please.
The typical ape hangers are a higher stance like this, right? Then you have your typical cruiser style is more of this kind of stance. But I've always been a hands-on guy, so I'll always play with my cars or motorcycles and tweak them out. So I customized this. I put like a new tank on, put these the Clubman bars on, and that kind of gives you that like sport bike stance. So you're a little bit more hugged to the tank. Probably one of the most fun ways to ride. If you still like riding, dude, I highly recommend it.
It seems so leaning forward,
but you're like. You are now. Like you're hugging that torpedo. You're hugging that rocket, that you're riding.
I know.
Before you're kind of riding back, and it's like this weird stance.
But see, I'm Mexican, man. That's how we. That's how we do. We'd be like this. We chill like this. You guys are more like this.
Yeah. Ah, geez.
Like biker boys over here. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had those bars on, right, and it's funny because I don't know if you had this because yours is a different situation. You were out like I just woke up, right? So I like had that, I'm like, oh fuck, I'm gonna die, man. And my brother and I started riding together, and we had like a handshake deal that if either of us ever became paralyzed, we'd kill each other. That's just how it is. And then like in this, yeah, dude, I was like, I'm not trying to look around this world, like, it's funny because in this time, like,
hold on. How old were you guys when you made that deal?
16 and 18.
16 and 18. This is a pretty solid deal.
Or 6 and 8.
And how many other real like pacts have you made with your brother at that point besides this murder pact?
I honestly think that was the first and only one we've had. It was like a legit thing because my brother and I were both like, I don't know, like it's not that like we're suicidal, right? But it's just kind of like, dude, I like being alive, but I don't like being alive enough to try to stick around that shit, right?
Yeah. So it was you would have had to kill him or he would have had to kill you.
Either one of us would snuff each other out in the hospital.
And you couldn't call
Pillow
this
over
off.
the face. That was the deal.
And you couldn't call this off.
So the thing was, well, here's the thing. So I like
can't defend yourself.
Amazing.
Like as my ass leaves the seat of the motorcycle, I'm like, oh fuck, I'm gonna have to call Donnie. And I'm like, oh shit, if I'm like a quadriplegic, I can't even call him. I have to have the nurse like, hey, can you call my brother and have him come kill me? It's in Wisconsin. It's a long distance call. Yeah. So all that shit's going through my mind, right? And then I like, bam, body slam on the hood of the chick's car. Definitely knocked out and concussed, right? Yeah. And I bought in a full face helmet now at this point. It's one of the ones that you can flip up like a night visor type thing. And for whatever reason, I just like, dude, your body's so full of adrenaline, you're numb, right? So like I'm laying on the ground, my bike's on top of me. So what happened was it popped up, did an endo, I fell down, it landed on me. So I had my ribs bruised on this side, and then the other side was for my bike. I was wearing jeans, some Chucks, and a t-shirt.
You weren't touching the exhaust pipe?
The exhaust pipe did not burn me. Yeah, ironically enough. But the engine block had like the scratch of the engine block markings, that venting on my inner calf and stuff. Because I had to take all these pictures for my insurance company. But yes, I wake back up on the street. I have no idea how long I was out for, right? And I come to
scary,
and I get up. I'm like, okay, my fucking legs work. I fucking you have so much adrenaline. I just fucking throw the bike off me, right? And I'm like, okay, everything's working. My dick's still there. We're good. Right?
Check all the
Didn't realize that like my fucking chin had been split open. I got this. It's not even that big a scar anymore, but like it was split the fuck open because the full face just smacked on there. And I ripped the helmet off, and I see this chick crying, like chick behind the wheel, and I'm like, I have sisters. I'm like, oh fuck, I'm gonna go console her. And I go, are you okay? And she's like, and I must have freaked the shit out of her because like from what I know, she sees this guy die, right? It's like this dead body, and then all of a sudden comes like, are you okay? And I know I mumble anyways, right?
Hey, you remember European Vacation?
Yeah.
The sequel to Vacation. Remember that scene where he hits Eric Idle when Eric Idle's riding the bike? And he's just a little bump. Bruise. He's like he had an artery or something. His blood squirting out of him. Yeah.
I always say I was like Uma Thurman from like Pulp Fiction when she gets the adrenaline. like came up like that, like just hella energy, like super invasive.
You'd been out for 11 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. I had no idea.
Threw it off you 5 feet. Yeah.
There's a dude that was like, this is like 8 a.m, right? So my neighborhood's kind of a buzz. People are walking their dogs, and this guy's like, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen. I'm like, I had no idea who the fuck that guy was, because I lived in this neighborhood for like years after that. So I don't know if people knew when I was walking my dog. It's like I got hit years ago or whatever the fuck it was.
But you definitely got knocked out.
I definitely got knocked out for sure.
No 911 or ambulance or sirens or anything.
No,
when you
so
woke up.
dude, I'm like a super blue collar, Wisconsin guy. We're just kind of like that. Oh shucks, accidents happen type thing, and like and again too, I have never called out of work sick my entire life. The only time I ever called out of work for a job was when my wife got in that car accident. So like the last time I was on this podcast, that was the first time in the 25 years I've been working, or 30 years, whatever it is, that I actually. So in this situation, I get hit by a fucking car on my motorcycle. I call my work. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be late. I got hit by a car. So I pull my bike off the side of the road. I talk.
But
to
I'll
the
be
chick.
there.
I just died.
We exchanged insurance information and stuff. And I start walking back up the hill to my house as I take my truck to work. And she's like, where are you going? I'm like, I got to go to work. I'm going to be late. My shirt's like all ripped and my collar covered in blood. I still got some scars on my arm from that stuff too.
Like, what country are you from?
Yeah, just like a fucking robot. And that's why I'm saying I was definitely concussed, because I was not thinking straight, right? So
and your chin split open.
Chin was split open, dude. My chin was split open to the bone, right? It was like a solid,
man.
it was split. Like it was split like when you squeeze an orange like that, just like separated.
Holy
not
crap.
a clean cut.
Were you working at the griddle?
Yeah, I was working at the griddle, yeah.
So you were going to serve pancakes.
Yeah, I put a Band-Aid over that. I put Band-Aids on my arm, and I get to work. My manager's like, dude, you got to get that fixed. That's like your face. Like, it's going to leave a wicked scar.
Dude.
So I didn't have health insurance at the time. So I ended up calling up one of my buddy's ex-girlfriends who's a doctor, right?
Yeah.
And this is like in every
Got
like,
needle and
every
thread.
like great like Van Damme movie, right? When he goes and hangs out with his friend's chick who's like, his buddy died, now she's stitching. I was waiting for us to have like the sexy night.
She's like, does it hurt? You're like, pain don't hurt.
Yeah.
Nothing is real to Tony.
Yeah, dude. So like it was. I didn't even get to her first. What happened initially? I just drove right down. This is on a Sunday that this happened. Yeah. I drove down to.
That's a big money day at the griddle too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No wonder you're trying to go to work. Yeah, exactly. It's a line down the block.
I went down to Kaiser on Sunset, right? I go to the emergency thing. The emergency room was like closed for whatever reason. I don't know if it was the time of the day or just on Sundays they're not open. But like, I go in there. I'm now at this point, now that I've gotten in my truck, I drive to the hospital, right? It's starting to stiffen up. I'm starting to feel the pain, right? All that adrenaline's
going.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm starting to feel it. My foot that caught me, my big toe, my right foot, was like purple. It was like, everything's starting to really show all the damage. I started to see like the bruising on my ribs and stuff. And then I go in there, I park my car, I walk, the doors are all closed. I can't get a hold of anyone. I'm like, fuck. So I, hit my buddy up with this chick's contact and shit. And then I was going, they were trying to get me to pay for the parking. I'm like, I'm bleeding. I'm like, do I need to pay? And she's like, okay, just get out of here. I'm like,
Tony lived like all these different movie scenes. Do the story, because that's like Fargo when he's checking out of the after he gets shot in the face. And he's trying to leave the parking structure, and he's like, your ticket, please. Like, I just got fucking shot.
Yeah, basically, man. Yeah, so I drive down. She had like a doctor's office down in Santa Monica, right? So. She's like, I'm gonna have to, use some sutures and stuff.
This is how many days after? This is the same day?
This is the same day. This is all within like, maybe, I think it might have taken me 2 hours to get to her.
That's this, before work still.
Yeah. No, I actually went to work, got sent home.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? My manager was like, nah, dude, you're like, you need to go to the doctor for this. I was like, oh, okay. Oh, so I leave and, I drive down to her place. She starts checking me out and stuff, and like starts, making sure I like my brain, my motor skills are all working and stuff. Does like the finger check and stuff.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, so she's like, I'm gonna do some sutures, and she didn't have any sutures, so she uses a staple gun, right? And like being a construction guy, I know what a staple gun sounds like.
What is that, Stanley?
Yeah. Good model, right?
What are you using there?
Yeah, 5mm staples. All right, cool, good choice. That's what I'd recommend.
No, these are drywall staples, honey.
So it's funny. She said, I'm gonna do a couple staples, right? And like, she starts, numbing the shit, and I'm sitting there like bracing for it, and all of a sudden, pop, pop. And I'm like, okay, that's 2. That's a couple, right? All of a sudden, she reloads a clip. Pop, 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 pop. 8 staples in my chin.
No
right?
shit.
Yeah, dude. And this is right, actually, and the other ironic thing about this, too, this is right when I was getting into stand-up. So, like, some of the first, like, open mics I did, I had, like, these staples. These, like, It's metal in my chin and shit.
Amazing. That's what they called it. They thought that was his gimmick and everything.
Yeah.
Coming to stage.
Well, it was one of those things
Tony Klein over here.
Ben, I don't know if it was one of those things for you too, but like when you get into stand-up, you're kind of like, should I do this? Should I not do this? And I had like that thing when I was like flying to my death. I'm like, I got to do that. It's something like, you never know when you're going to die. I'm like, fuck, I almost died. Like, I got to stick with that shit. So, like, it really
solidified it, huh?
For real.
Yeah, that's what made you start stand-up?
Yeah, well, maybe stay in it. Like, I was like, just getting into that. And then I was like, well, fuck it. I think I did like a mic before that. And then I was like, okay, I got to fucking really go with this.
Yeah, it was a sign.
Yeah.
Man, that's actually awesome to hear, man. Because I've been talking about this with people lately. Like, I'm doing that a lot more lately, like just paying attention to signs from the universe.
Oh, yeah,
that I'm doing the right thing or I'm not doing the right thing or, whatever. Any little sign that like I need to be bumped in the right direction again. I'm like, okay, there you go. I hear you, and moving on.
If you're listening at home, though, and you think you're getting a sign from the universe that you should start stand-up, you should probably talk to somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like the universe probably doesn't want you to start stand-up. It's leading you down a bad path.
Well, if you're already thinking about it, then you have a near-death experience.
Yeah, you already one mic in.
But I think that's the thing, though, dude. Is like the near-death experience really kind of. I think everyone deserves one of those, right? It kind of keeps you grounded as to far how like valuable life is, right? You know what I mean?
I think anything that makes you think in those terms, man, because we're so conditioned to think all the bullshit that we think is important is actually important, and it's fucking not, man.
I got two other things on the motorcycle story. So
let's go.
While I'm in the doctor's office, right? So I'm getting sutured up and stapled up and all that kind of shit. And she does all the bandage and cleans all my stuff. And she's like, yeah, your breathing sounds kind of messed up. And I was like, oh yeah. And I had like kind of a wheeze for a while, right?
Yeah.
Fucking had like early stages of walking pneumonia. I was smoking cigarettes at the time.
Oh my God, dude.
Like I became that guy that was like, I never want to go to the doctor. I also didn't have health insurance. So I'm like, I'm not going to looking for problems and stuff. Yeah. But since I'm in the shop, let's check out all the fucking,
This is
things.
Tony's story, how he became a Bernie Sanders supporter.
Yeah. Might as well get this. Well, it's like, like I'm not looking for shit, but like, had I not gotten hit by a fucking car, I could have just died of pneumonia.
Well, and you still don't have health insurance in this story. He just has one doctor that he knew that was like,
I didn't have health
him.
insurance. After I opened her up for my like private doctor, I was like, well, why do I need health insurance? I can just call Ines.
Get a staple
Shout out
gun.
to Ines.
I already know what to do now. I put staples in.
Yeah.
But dude, you'd be surprised how much that goes into whether or not people call 911. I mean, I've shown up to people so fucked up from crashing their bicycle into a car, and then picking their fucked up bike up and going home because they didn't have insurance, and then their buddy calls the next day like, dude, you got to check this dude out. And they're all gorked out, their eyeballs all freaking blown and red. And it's like, dude, why didn't you go? I don't have insurance, man. Well, you got to go to the hospital. I can't go and you're talking them into going to the hospital. Like, dude, you have to get this looked at, man. You cannot let this go. I can't, bro. It's heartbreaking sometimes, dude, to be honest with you.
I never got any x-rays done either. I know I have like a hip pop and my right knee has been tweaked ever since then. So that's where all the impact was. But like,
and you never got anything else looked at?
No, man.
Then?
I was like, again, just like a naive idiot. And it was like, you ever see the movie Extract?
Yeah.
Right is right. Like that was like my mentality. Like we had the same. And the other thing too is I kind of got like the worst deal. I didn't try to sue the chick. I was just like, just fix my bike, cover my medical bills, and I think I got an extra couple grand or two. Like I could have taken like the chick to the clinic, but like I felt bad because like
you could have got an X-ray out of it.
I know.
One X-ray.
Can I get
the hell was your lawyer?
Dude, I like the next time I get hit by a car, I'm gonna take advantage of it.
Please.
Well,
you clearly didn't call Russ Brown the motorcycle attorneys, bro.
And the thing is, man, is like, hopefully everybody has insurance these days. You're taking the insurance company's money, man.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You're looking out for yourself and you're taking the insurance company.
I mean, I have a kid now, so I have insurance. I'm a more responsible adult and stuff. But like, I think my 20-something rationale was like, if I don't have health insurance, it keeps me on the straight and narrow. Like I'm not going to do the dumb shit I would do because I dropped off my parents' house. My mom's a teacher. I was on her insurance until I was 26, right? So this falls in within like a 2-year window of me not being insured. I get in this fucking major accident and shit.
Crazy.
I don't know, man, but like, let's say you were jacked up enough to like, you were knocked out and we got there when you were knocked out and we took you anyways. Now you're stuck with this like trauma center bill. You know what I mean? You're still in your same spot, but you woke up.
I'm not pro non-insurance at all.
No.
If he got picked up from where he was, you would have gone to like Cedar Sinai. You got a hit with it, dude. Because that's another thing too, is Tony's case, this is a very typical Matt call. Or we'll wonder, like random ER will call and say, hey, we got this guy. He was in a motorcycle crash.
Yeah.
He has all these rib fractures, punctured lung, splenic laceration or something. Or like, why is he there? Oh, he just walked in.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, dude.
Yeah, man.
And now we know how people just walk in.
Yeah. I'll say this, dude. 20 years being a medic, 18 on the fire department. And, with the history of riding a bike and listening to stories like yours, if you are going to ride, man, a full face helmet.
Yeah, dude.
You got to have that full face helmet, man, because of all the injuries that I see on motorcycle accidents, pretty much what happened to you is typically what happens. They lock them up, slide into a car, go over the handlebars, and you either go, head first through a window, which I've seen. I can't even freaking tell you how many times.
Like you were saying, your brother-in-law that passed. Sorry to hear that, by the way. Like I wasn't set up for the same thing too. Like had I not had those handlebars hook my foot, I got giant size 13 feet. I was set up to fly into, there's a parked like those old K5 Blazers. Yeah. We're flown right into that thing. So I was lucky to slam my face on the hood of her car. Yeah. But again, too, with the full face helmet, like my helmet, I kept it for years because like it had just this massive scratch, like a fucking demon just slashed the side of my face. That would have been my face for the rest of my life. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, definitely.
Crazy.
And you have to think that way when you ride, man. And I know plenty of guys that ride and family members that ride and stuff. And I always wonder where they're at in their riding journey. You know what I mean? Like, are you still
which level are you?
Yeah, are you still like this crazy dude who thinks he's above everything on the bike, or have you seen enough people crash? Have you ridden enough, been having enough close calls where you're careful, like more like I am when I ride?
Yeah, I don't really ride out here that much. I mean, I shot this. It's funny too because I shot like a fucking an indie film like maybe 6 months after that, right? And I had to go out the desert and ride in there. And we were actually riding like on some desert roads and stuff, so it wasn't that bad. But I was like definitely had like the white knuckles and like and I don't know if the first time you got back on a bike after your wreck, but like you just don't ride comfortable, and that's the worst way to ride nervous, right?
Exactly.
So you have to have that kind of just regular that comfort, right? And when I go back to Wisconsin, I'll ride my stepdad or my brother-in-law's bike and show that, and that's like again. But still no helmet, like which is kind of funny because I'm like,
that's crazy,
fuck it,
man.
I'm back at it again.
If there's one thing, man, over the years, all the accidents I've seen, that helmet has saved more people. You know what I mean? Even if you're in a state, in Arizona, the same thing. We go out there and visit family, and you see people riding on the freeways out there, and I'm sure it's great, and it feels good, and the wind blowing through your hair and all that stuff. So it's so dangerous. I even see guys, I've seen people in Arizona riding with their kid on the back. Like a 12-year-old kid on the back hanging on, no helmet. I'm just thinking to myself, like, all you need is someone to pull out in front of you like yours, dude. Yeah. And go flying and bonk your head and
live without the rest of your life, man.
Yeah, man.
If you live.
Yeah, the kid thing, I mean, I can't sign off on that because dude, like
crazy to me.
Oh my God, I can only imagine that. Like you being okay and your kid's fucked up from that.
Oh my God. Well, that's how I felt.
I have to call my brother, like, Don, you got to kill me.
You got to kill me. I'm not even hurt, but you got to kill me.
Thank you for bringing that back up because I've been stuck on this murder pact halfway through the show. Okay. So when you were flying through there, you said you had that thought like, oh man, I'm going to call my brother. Yeah. So you were still on board with.
Oh, absolutely, dude.
So that's now you don't want to be a head in a wheelchair.
Fuck no, dude. You want to be, absolutely not. And that was the thing where like the biggest.
Are we talking packs or are we talking empty promises?
Even with your kid and everything now. You don't want to be a quad.
I mean, it's.
You can still be the quad comic.
No, I mean, look, dude. Bro. I mean, like, I don't want to.
Everybody give it up for Tony. He's back.
Oh man.
Here's the thing. Like, I kind of stepped away from riding at that point because that is like the number one reason why I would end up in a wheelchair is from riding. Like, there's other ways, obviously, but like the easiest way to end up in that is from riding a fucking motorcycle. So
wait, hold on. So your solution here is to like try to not become a paraplegic or quadriplegic because you're not backing down from the murder pact.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's like, well, also my brother, like, I don't know if he'll remember that we stopped the pact. You know what I mean? Like, he might only remember engaging.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like you can't call it off. Yeah. So then the flip side of this coin, Tony.
It's like John Wick, right? The hit's already out. I mean, I gotta.
This is what I'm saying, dude. This is what I'm saying. The clock has already started here. So let's say, the flip end of this happens. Donnie gets quadriplegic, paralyzed. Is Tony on a plane to Wisconsin to pull off the hit? Yeah. So you'll still do the murder.
I have to. We got the
because
pact,
it's
man.
the pact.
Yeah. And my brother would still be way down for that, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
No doubt in his mind.
Absolutely.
Please come and still kill me.
We still talk about that, man. Like,
no shit.
Yeah. Because there's just like...
it's one of the only things you guys have agreed on.
Yeah.
It's tough riding in LA, though, too, man. There's so much traffic here. And fucking nobody pays attention to what they're doing.
So you
driving.
had a couple of good points though. Like, okay, so riding out in LA, you can cut lane. You can't cut lane in Wisconsin. You have to stay in an actual lane. So
really?
That's a huge fun thing, right? Because then it becomes like Tron, right? You're just kind of cruising.
Yeah.
Also, I never wore headphones riding Wisconsin. You know, but having a helmet on, dude, I threw the earbuds in. I was listening to the Wu-Tang.
That was beautiful.
It was like probably one of the coolest like experiences. Just cutting lane, listening, going through traffic and stuff. Especially when you're trying to get from here to the west side in like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
right?
man. It's. I miss riding. I'm like I was in the act of like actively looking for a bike when we started expanding this and the other business thing I'm trying to do, But yeah, there's also they have electric bikes now. So did you see Harley came out with an electric bike?
Yeah, but it's like here's the thing though. So anytime you're on two wheels, you're still just as susceptible to getting hit by a car, right?
Right.
'Cause I got hit on a bike when I was a kid.
And part of the good thing about riding a Harley or riding something with big like loud pipes on is that you can rev that engine and people know that you're there.
Well, you also have the chance to accelerate out of the danger, right? So even like I know you're saying, electric bike has no noise, right? So you're still silent,
right.
But you still have the speed to get out of the way.
You do. I'm like, I haven't ridden one either yet, but I'm eyeballing. I think that's the kind of bike I'm gonna ride.
Here's the wrinkle with electric bikes. That was my buddy Roger, who comes to the show sometimes. He coworker at the Mac. He rode electric bike for a while. The battery, if the battery fucks up at all or malfunctions, the bike just powers down
as you're going.
And you can be on the freeway and you're going 80, and then in 3 seconds you're going 20, 10 because the bike just powers down.
Just a whole new set of worries.
Pretty much, you just don't consider that before you get it.
I got to look more into that. But bikes, man, they are dangerous, but man, fuck, they are fun, dude.
Absolutely.
They are fun, and not only the act of riding itself, but the allure of riding with a group too, or riding with friends. Yeah. Because that's part of that like bike riding life too, man. Is like you get with the group or you get with like a bike club or something like that. And it's fun, man. It's fun to ride with a big group of people, or you go on ride somewhere and hang out and, meet new people and stuff like that. So there's that aspect of it too.
Question for you. Did you like riding like with someone on the back as much as riding by yourself?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cause usually it was me. I didn't really ride. Usually when I rode with Bernie on the back.
You guys have been together for a long time.
We have, yeah. And so, yeah, I enjoyed it just as much. It was like the same to me for the most part.
Every like when you're a single guy riding, every chick's like, I'd love to ride on the back of your bike. And then like, they don't know how to like shift weight. And they're like the biggest thing working against you, keeping it on two wheels. You're like, what the fuck? Like, I was definitely not how momentum and inertia works.
I was definitely worried about it when I first started riding. Like I remember putting her on the back and like going around the block a few times and but then realizing, and then she realized that like, hey, fucking hold on to me tight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hold on to me tight, and it's easier for me to ride like that. It's when you go and just like you said, they're barely holding on, and then they shift backwards and it kind of shifts you, or you go to turn and they're not used and they go this way and it kind of throws the weight of the bike off.
You can get a wobble from a passenger.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. See, I always thought about it like if it was like kind of like swimming with someone on your back. You know what I'm saying? I know it's not quite like that, but it's just like, how's it better with somebody just hanging on you?
If she, I would always tell you got to hold on tight. Or even like Jose, I'd like be going from here to there, and like me, Jose was over or something like that. Like go. We got to, hey man, come on, let's get you over here to Carlos's house. Get on. Hey, you got to hold on tight, fool. You know what I mean? Like, get over there. But it's true, man. If you feel more like one unit, the person behind you is holding on tight.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then they got all kinds of other stuff. Another thing, just tossing this stuff out there. If you do ride or you're thinking about riding. Look into riding like clothes. Like there's clothes that have padding built in. Like there's riding jeans that have extra padding in the knees, the thighs, the ass and shit, so that if you fall off, you don't get road rash as bad. They have flannel shirts
armor, bro.
that have armor in the elbows, that have, you know what I mean? They have gloves that have rectors on it that will support your wrist.
I am all about that. I appreciate that for new riders. I just like, again, it sucks because you can't relearn how the riding was. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like here's the thing too.
You're
is
old
like
school.
The people that want to like go and leave and go live in like off the grid, right? And like leave civilization. I can't unlearn all the cool shit I like, right? So part of the thing is the air blowing on my fucking arm hair and shit. Like I enjoy that thing.
Oh
it's
me too, man.
Fucking dangerous. And that's kind of what I'm throwing in the pot. But that is how riding is for me.
Me too. And I get it, dude. I've been there, done that. All I can say is that the people that prepared that way, and there's shit that looks cool and everything too, that got in comparable accidents with people that weren't prepared were just so fucking happy
absolutely.
that they did. You know what I mean? And made you go like, damn, at least me. And that, one of the things I've always talked about it on here, man. It's one of the great things about this job is it's a blessing and it's not, you know what I mean? To be worried about all this shit all the time, you know, be thinking about clothes with armor in it, because I've seen plenty of motherfuckers get fucked up on a bike.
Being a paramedic kept me off of them, bro.
Yeah.
Straight up, dude. It's just like, that's not worth it.
But it's funny because even your story at the beginning about like the guy wearing all the gear, right? Like had that, none of that shit what he was wearing was gonna fight unless he had a fucking parachute on.
That's what he needed, probably.
Exactly. He and I are in the same boat. If I
Exactly. There's guys riding with a parachute in the back too, like, just in case.
It's not a bad idea.
How much time we got?
Yeah, you never know. We got to wrap it up.
Okay.
Tony, great fucking job.
Yeah.
If anyone has deserved to be a 2-time guest.
And man. Hey, thanks. You know, in another 52 shows, another year will come. Hopefully, something will happen to you this year.
Some other
world's luckiest.
I'll hire someone to do something to you, and we'll have you back in another year.
Take out his kneecaps. We also want to thank our new studio here, and our new production partners here, Mastermind. Mark, great job. We love this place. Everything looking good.
Beautiful.
We noticed being in closer proximity to Danny, handsy.
Oh yeah.
All right, hands. This is Joe Biden level shit.
Don't put a camera under the table.
I'm almost being flirted with through half the show.
Tony, where can they look you up and find you on social media, buddy?
At Tony Klein Comedian on all the social medias, and you can check out my website, TonyKleinComedian.com.
Beautiful.
Any other things you do, like comedy shows or anything?
Well,
I don't know. Anything you want to promote?
Dates, man? My calendar's looking pretty weak. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. We do run a show together on Fridays usually. But
follow us at the Comedy Courtyard on Instagram as well.
I don't really promote it enough then, because I always like the show airs or we post them on Mondays, and then I just and I might mix up the dates, or the weeks sometimes.
So it's like
right. But still, I bring it up like trying to get Tony to do it.
I know, but you could talk about it in the time that you're talking about not talking about it. That's the crazy thing about it.
That is pretty wild, dude. Meta.
Mind blown.
What else can they find? Where can they find you, man?
You can follow me at Ben9Humor, Ben number 9 Humor, like benign tumor, clever handle on Instagram and Twitter.
You can find me follow me at Danny Gonzo34 on Instagram and Twitter.
Follow the show at PRC Pod on Instagram and Twitter, or at PRC Podcast on TikTok.
Thank you too. Oh yeah, email us.
Email us, and we can also buy shirts. We'll just send you stickers. I mean,
give them the email.
Give us money for stickers.
Give them the email.
Contact prcpod@gmail.com. We also want to thank our sponsor, Power Solar.
Power, it's POWUR.
Because you are going to be happy.
Yeah, give them a call. If you guys are interested in solar, give them a call. They were really cool to work with, and I'm still going through it. I'm going to keep you guys updated on how that comes out.
I'm calling you.
All right, thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Hey. Yeah, I mean.
So we about to take off.
Hey. Please do remain calm. About to run against it and with a little bit of soul, no times.